afternoon, all. On behalf of Chettinad School of Architecture, I welcome you all for this webinar on life as a creative pursuit. Today is it's a wonderful day. It's a nice day and a wonderful weekend. Certainly, by the end of third lockdown, we have to realize that the days and weekends and everything. Soon we have to get into our regular mode of working and all that. So all these days would have been so stressful. Online classes, webinar, then work from home, and also a lot of homework. So we thought we certainly need a stress buster to have a great feel as an architect. So we are looking for a choice of person who can actually give us that kind of a feel. So there's none other than our the first person of our community now, the president of Council of Architecture, and architect Habeeb Khan sir. He was so generous and graciously agreed to share some good valuable time with us. In fact, I have to tell you one thing. Last year, I got to visit on one of the schools of architecture in Nagpur. I want to show a visual on that particular school. Rajesh, can you just show the visuals? Yeah, look at this. When I went into this place, it was looking like such an awesome resort. Okay, keep going, Rajesh. See, the way these things are articulated, these elements are articulated, and the feel, the moment you get into this place, and then in the what is the kind of vibration you get. So you see, the student is so lucky to be inside this as a school. I couldn't believe this is a school. Actually, I thought it's a resort. I thought it's a tropical resort kind of a thing. Inside Nagpur, in such a wonderful place. So then after the sessions, everything. Then next image, please. Okay, let me continue. After going through this place, then I learned that this School of Architecture was designed by our own President, Council of Architecture, Architect Habeeb Khan ji. So he has got a very good, wonderful knack of contemporary vernacular style. And even now, I have to give more details. In fact, you all can go into the website and see about this school. Even a door detail is such awesome. And it actually expresses that the person who's designing also enjoys life. So we thought actually he's the right person to now talk to us and then give us a lighter note on how to feel better as an architect. And with that, I want to introduce the panelists. We have our panelist, architect Sendil Kumar, well-known person. He's a chairman of IEA TN chapter. And then our architect Palaniappan, TR Palaniappan, he is the chief executive of Forum Architects. Then we have architect Parisutharajan, who's the chairman of IEA Pondicherry Center.
Hello.
So now I would like to ask architect Palaniappan to start interaction with Habeeb Khan sir. This program, this webinar is going to be expressive of how you feel like nice an architect, what are an architect's interests, how it goes, how the life goes, how actually you build up a practice, how is our social being. So those kind of things. So just feel calm and relax, sit back and enjoy this beautiful, nice chatting. Okay, architect Palaniappan, can you please start off interacting with Habeeb Khan sir?
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, you are able to hear me?
Yes. Please carry on.
Okay. Yeah. So, good evening, architect Habeeb Khan sir.
Good evening, all of you.
Yeah. Good evening. And the entire community of architects within the country look at IEA and the Council of Architecture as their prime support. And the president of the IEA and the Council of Architecture, they have a primary role to play in terms of the architectural profession and its education in the country. So being the president of Council of Architecture, on behalf of all the architects of the country, I convey my greetings, regards, respects, and salutes to you, sir. To begin with, since my good friend Loganathan has told me that amongst all the serious webinars which have been going on in the recent times amidst the COVID in the country, my good friend Loganathan has clearly indicated me that this has to be a very casual, friendly, and a jovial interaction with you. So I would like you to introduce yourself, not only to me, in fact, I have not met you at all so far, to the entire gathering, about you, your early life, then your study times, both in India and abroad, then your family. Just a basic introduction of you to all our friends, please.
First of all, good afternoon to all of you for inviting me and thinking that I am fit enough for this kind of interaction. But Loganathan, I would like to thank you so much for giving me a break from the so-called monotony of the life at the council, and specifically in this lockdown, it has been only amendments and regulations and advisories and letters, and it's almost I've been fed up with the entire kind of life that has happened from work from home. Although it is more efficient and more hectic, but more organized, and a lot of time is saved in travel and meetings and everything. And now everyone has almost come to terms, with having a meeting on Zoom or a video platform. So that saves a lot of fatigue, travel, and everything. And I'm really, really happy to be here. And let's hope you'll make it more informal and more what you call interactive.
Yes.
It's very. You have asked a question which is like, where do I start? Is the issue. There's a Hindi share, poetry. I don't know. I mean, a lot of you guys probably may not understand, but I'll try to translate it. कि वैसे देखो तो बहुत खराब हूँ मैं, वैसे देखो तो बहुत खराब हूँ मैं, लिखने बैठूं तो एक किताब हूँ मैं. Which basically means that even if you see I'm a very bad guy, I'm full of vices. And if you want me to introduce myself, I'm a full book full of vices. So it's very. But to answer that question, I was born in Hyderabad. And grew up there for the first 5 years. So technically, if you say I'm a South Indian, but then we shifted to Lucknow, and I spent my waking years in Lucknow, where I was studying in Kendriya Vidyalaya, the central school in Lucknow, for almost 10 to 12 years, from where I've learned my Hindi, where I learned my culture and, the kind of languages that I learned there. It was a very enriching experience, even though I was pretty young, but very impressionable age at that time. And then we moved to Nagpur. And there's a saying that person who comes to Nagpur doesn't go out of Nagpur. So I did my initial college and school in Nagpur, and then architecture also from VNIT. Then I went to the US, stayed there for some time. I graduated from there, worked there for some time. But then the feeling to come back to your own country, contribute to the country's progress, and the kind of varied cultural life that our country offers, which is absolutely missing in the Western world, especially in the US, brought me back to my country, where I started my practice, and I'm here in front of you, all of you. And in the whole process of this life, I've learned a lot of lessons and a lot of things, positive and negative, and I've tried to take out the negative out of the positives, and take out the negatives of everything and look at everything positively, so that we are able to live a more meaningful and a more enriched life rather than getting stuck up in the negatives. So here I am, and I never ever thought that I had become the president of the council. me being on the council was an accident. But nevertheless, here I am now on a seat which is getting hotter by the day with the climate as well. And then to add to that, the pandemic has come in,
Yeah.
which is further complicating things.
How
I
about
hope
your
that answers.
Yes, sir. How about your family, sir? Can you elaborate a little about your family, your wife, kids?
I am
Yes, sir.
married to Dr. Smita, who is also an architect,
Good.
and we studied in the same school. Now she's practicing along with me. Also, she's teaching in NIT Nagpur.
Good.
She has done her thesis PhD in behavioral studies, post-occupancy evaluation of school buildings.
Okay.
And I have two beautiful daughters.
Good.
Both are architects.
Great.
Sabrina and Samia. The elder one is Sabrina, who's married to a housing management graduate and also a builder in Rajkot,
Okay.
Gujarat. And the younger one is also an architect who's working with me, and
Good.
she is planning to do her user interface design in computer applications.
Mm-hmm.
And my marriage was intercaste marriage, not exactly interreligious marriage, because my wife is a Maharashtrian Brahmin.
Mm-hmm.
And so my daughters have been brought up in both the religions, where they know a little about Islam and know a little about Hinduism.
Good.
And they know a lot about humanism, which I think is the universal religion rather than any any theocratic religion. And incidentally, my elder daughter is also married to a Gujarati Patel.
Great.
So it's a cross-cultural weaving at home.
Okay. Can you elaborate on your interests and passions, and how these interests and passions contribute to your creativity in architecture?
See, I look at life holistically.
Okay.
I cannot say that I do not say that I enjoy a particular aspect of life or a particular facet of life.
Okay.
To me, you're most welcome to come to my office and see. It is very clearly written on the entrance door of my cabin, where I say a part of me would like to dance, would like to sing, would like to play, would like to teach, would like to build, and so many things that I would like to do. Because confining myself to a single role is killing a large part of my own self.
Okay.
So I very strongly believe in the philosophy of Krishnamurti and an old show after that, and who always believed in the process of enjoying life holistically and doing everything that is possible in this life.
Okay.
So a lot of people ask me this question: how do you manage this multiple roles and so many things that you do simultaneously? But the idea is to try your hand at everything. Master of all, jack of none. What is that? There's some proverb like that: jack of all, master of none, or something. Something of that sort.
Jack
I don't
of
believe
all
in
arts,
that.
master of none. Most architects are like that.
I believe I believe that you should be jack of all and master of all.
Yes, exactly.
So everything, whether it is music, whether it is painting, whether it is poetry, whether it is teaching, whether it is theory, whether it is philosophy, religion, or be the presidency of the council, anything that you do, it has to be holistically done and absolutely enjoyed to the last moment.
Okay.
I think Senthil has joined.
Sure.
I think I'll ask Senthil, welcome to the meeting, and we would like to interact with the architect Habeeb.
Now I know the grilling will start after Senthil comes in.
Is my voice audible? Is my voice audible?
Yes, audible.
I have only a few simple questions only. Do you believe that the financial commitments eats into one's creativity? How to de-link both? Maybe by yoga or meditation, or by going to club, whatever way you want. You got my question, sir? Financial commitment does lead into one's
I think you can repeat your question slowly, Sandal.
Do you believe that financial commitments eats into one's creativity? How to de-link both?
And next part you asked, no?
Next part is will yoga, meditation, or going to the club in the happy hours help?
That's his way.
That's why you should not know the panelists or the speakers so well to ask these type of questions. No. I think, see, let us call spade a spade. Financial commitments and financial well-being is a very important aspect of all of us. Some of us accept it, some of us talk about it, some of us don't and want to live like an ostrich. But all of us who are here, architects or non-architects or anyone who is living this life, I think financial aspect is an important part of everyone. And in our society, not only in our society, I guess in the entire world, talking about financial matters of an individual is the greatest taboo. Is greater than talking of sex or their personal life. To be very honest, you may be very close to a friend and you may talk about your sexual preferences, your likes, dislikes, or escapades, but you will never ask him how much he earns, what is his monthly earning or whatever. You will never ask these things. So this is a reality in life that we need to face. That financial well-being is important. So financial commitment does come in way of creativity, you can say, sometimes of creative pursuits, you may say sometimes. But we are fortunate that our profession is not only creative 100%, but it's also business to some extent, where we need to create a balance between where we create a balance between creativity, technology, client, meetings, necessity, and then finances. So this is offset by the multifaceted profession that we are in. But definitely one should make an effort. I would say instead of financial commitments, until I would say compromises on your ethics, compromising on your values. That would be more appropriate to say that it comes in clash with the creative pursuits that we all want to strive for. But you need to make some kind of a balance in between, where you will say, okay, this is what my limit is, and this is my elastic limit, and I don't want to cross this. Okay. But yes, it does affect. To be very honest, it does affect, and it's up to each individual to find out that balance, where to stop. Where my limits stop and where I do not cross that limit of my moral values, my ethical values, my financial commitments, and this is my limit, my threshold of creativity, which I cannot compromise. So that is a fine balance that we all need to make as professionals, as creative professionals. And as far as the yoga, meditation, or the most interesting part of going to the club in the happy hours, I think going to the club in the happy hours takes care of everything else. Financial commitments, creative pursuits, everything else. And Senthil knows it very well. So, no, to be honest, I mean, see, basically, if you look at it philosophically and conceptually, all these things that you have talked of are something to give you inner peace. If you overdo any of them, if you overdo meditation, or if you overdo yoga, or if you overdo drinking, if you overdo other pleasure pursuits, it's going to be a kill for you. So the idea is you do what you enjoy the most, and when you enjoy it the most, that gives you inner happiness and inner peace, and that gives you something to look forward to. And it not only gives you that contentment, but it also gives you that what you call the germination of all creativity starts there. When you are at peace with yourself, in your mind, in your heart, in your body, and you are enjoying what you do, then the creativity actually erupts and is enhanced by all these things.
Thank you, sir. I think it's a very nice explanation given by you. We will take it forward. And my another question is, among talent and contacts, what could be the ideal combination for an architect to excel in the profession? Among talent and contacts, what could be the ideal combination for an architect to excel in the profession?
Should I answer like a president or like myself?
No, I think you should answer like yourself. Like yourself, even.
Contacts. See, I mean, when you start a practice, let's talk of a young architect starting his practice, or into practice for 10 years, 15 years, and struggling to establish all just established. It is basically contacts. How you make your contacts is a different issue. Whether you have political contacts, whether you have business contacts, you have family contacts, whatever. But basically, let us understand that talent does not get you work. Contacts get you work initially. But after you get the work, it is your talent which sustains it. So I would not say independently that, only talent gets you work. I have seen talents going waste. I have seen talented people going waste and not able to survive. I have seen people with good contacts not able to survive in the long run because they are not talented. So it's a healthy and a judicious mix of talent and contacts which work actually. You have to build on the contacts and then you have to harness it and support it with talent. So it's a mix between contacts and talents. Like I always say, this is not a 100-meter dash, which is very glamorous. You would know probably, who is the 100-meter race winner, the fastest man or woman on earth, but you will not know who is the marathon winner, 40-kilometer winner or 20-kilometer winner. So our profession is a marathon race where talent and perseverance and the contacts that you have actually will win you the race. So you have to have both. Without both, you can't do it.
Thank you, sir. It's a very apt answer. Thanks a lot.
Our architect Sandil Kumar has got both 50-50, sir. What do you think will be his success rate?
His success. I mean, I don't think I can judge his success rate, but I know that he is successful because he goes to the club in the evening every day.
No, yeah, okay, sir. Before I, Sandil, sir, I think there's a small. There's a small point that arises from what you answered to Sindhil. Financial commitment and then, the creativity he mentioned, and you gave a very nice, wonderful clarification. What happens now when a person initially starts, practice and all that, now he's tied up, with the client agreeing and accepting him. Okay. Once the clients accept you and then come to you, your creativity spurts like anything. There, the financial commitment is automatically taken care. So, at what stage this happened to you, sir? How did you start off your practice, and at what stage you felt that now you have a command over your practice? I just know this will actually help our young architects.
First of all, Senthil, I'm pulling your legs, so don't mind. You are sitting very serious, so I was wondering.
No.
No, I'll tell you, this is very important. Logan, you asked a very important, you've touched a very important point. I will tell you about myself. When I came back from the US, I had no one because my father was working in the railways and we had no business contacts, no social contacts because we used to get transferred, every 2 years, 3 years all over the country. So I had no base contacts in Nagpur to start my practice. But there was no other, when I came back, there was no other city to go to. And I thought I may try this out. I was working in a interior design firm in the US where we used to work on very high-end interiors and very lot of fast turnover and that kind of thing. So when I came back, I thought a lot over this and we started doing interiors. Because I realized that I was, after my 5 years of education plus post-graduation and my experience in the field in the US, I realized that I'm not fit enough to start my own practice. Unfortunately, even those 30, 35 years earlier. And people didn't know who an interior designer was. They used used to be an architect at that time, in society, or at least in tier 2 or 3 cities. So I started doing interiors for the simple reason that, it was a fast turning projects, quick churn out of projects where you can finish a project in a couple of months, 2, 3, 4 months, depending on the size of the project. You get your money fast because you complete the project fast as compared to an architectural project. And it's not possible to have 10 or 12 architectural projects to sustain you initially. So I thought interior was a better option to, start the practice. And for a long time, maybe 10 years or so in the initial years of my practice, we didn't do any architectural project because number one, I was not very sure of the kind of input that I'll be able to give to my client. Number two was whether I'll be able to technically, carry the project. Because I was not confident enough at that time. And number three was the kind of money that would come in would be very slow and over a longer period of time. So these three things were very important, where I could test my design skills and test my design capabilities on a very practical basis in front of my eyes in an interior project. Secondly, it was very important. It is very important for any architect or any designer who's starting with to build a brand image of his. And until you work on that brand image, until you work on the branding part of your personality or your work or your career or your office, you cannot succeed. Because ultimately, let's understand, our business is not an essential business. It is a business something to do with the extras or the butter of human life. So we need to have brands, and the importance of branding is very paramount in any architect's life or career. So I started building my own brand. And how do I build my own brand was the question at that time, because there was no Instagram, there was no internet, there was no mobile phones, there was no Facebook, and so on and on. So you start talking about what you do. You start talking to people, you start documenting your work, and you start talking and sharing your thought processes with your fellow professionals, fellow colleagues, or local clubs, and on so many things. So you start talking about it, and that's how you make a brand. You start writing in newspapers, you start writing in magazines, whatever little you can, and keep sending your projects to these newspapers or magazines, and take an issue or talk about the reason I'm working to pay the bank limits and the bank loans that came up. So we decided to reduce the office to a very minimal staff and whatever we could do. And then we started doing architectural projects. We also dabbled in between in turnkey projects, the concept of master builders, where you design and you execute and you build as well. We've done varied type of projects over the years, but initially what happens is the first architectural project that we got was a house, of course, belonging to another client of us who we have done the interiors for. And he wanted an absolutely chic or classy house, modernistic house kind of thing, which personally I didn't believe in. Even now I don't believe in that thought process. My thought process is more contextual and, like you said, contemporary vernacular. But that is a compromise that Senthil was asking about, that you need to make. So we said, chalo, this is our first project, so let's do it the way the client wants it. And then gradually, as the house progressed and we were able to complete it, and we were also able to convince the client of the principles of sustainability. We were at that time, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, no one knew what sustainability was, what local material was, what contextuality was, what a green concept of a building was at that time. But we were able to convince, and we were able to have at least half of what we thought could go into the house. So that's how it started basically, and it does. There's a drawback still that some clients don't come to you because you don't work in a particular framework of thought process where will not be able to deliver what he thinks he wants. So it is a restricted and a niche kind of practice that has been built up over the years. But without branding, you can't succeed. All the young graduates, without branding, you can't succeed. I just saw a question. Someone was asking, do you regret coming back from the US?
Yes.
It was a very interesting aspect as to why I came back. Apart from my sister's wedding, which was there at that time, when I exited the US immigration, the concerned official forgot to put a stamp of exit And so when I reapplied to go, they said, you are technically in the US. You have not left the US. But I said, technically, I'm in the US, but physically I am in India. So they said, we go by the paperwork. So you are in the US. So how can you go back to the US when you are in the US? So being a young, hot-headed architect at that time, I said, get lost. I'm not going back. So that's how basically it happened. And then I realized I had left my house, I left my job, I left my everything, my belongings, everything there. And, but then I decided not to, but I settled everything. My father and mother, my mother has passed away now, but both of them are American citizens. They are settled in the US since a long, long time. So in spite of that, I came back. We have a house there, we have everything there. And yet I came back and I haven't regretted the decision, not even a second. And I very strongly feel I'm a very patriotic kind of a person, where I very strongly feel that if you cannot contribute to your country's success or progress in whatever way you want, I mean, even 1%, 0.5% of your existence, your life is not worth. And it's not idealistic thought process. It is something, a tree is planted in a soil and then it grows and gets enriched from that soil. So a human being is also enriched by the soil that he is born in and where he grows up. And it is very important for that individual, that person, to keep getting enriched from the soil that your roots are in. And that is what matters in life. And that directly or indirectly helps your country grow.
Sir, I think we will show the PPT of that school for the benefit of many of the. For a moment, I thought we will show that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Rajesh,
Sure.
can you just show the images for a moment? Yeah, people, please just have a look at this. Such a wonderful, vibrating place. This is a bigger courtyard. The other courtyard is named as Baba's Court. Yeah, Baba's Court. Okay, and then if you look at their handrails and the roof supports, they are all resembling the trees. The whole ambience is like you are inside some kind of Baba's resort. So it's look at this another court which is very vibrant, and you see all these panels, all these bays are used by the students to do their graffiti and all that, and it keeps changing. It was a wonderful tour, guided tour, to go around the school, and the staff they are very, very proud that there are so many selfie spots here. Okay, I think I just wanted to share this, so that you people can actually go into the net. Or this is a place once you must go and visit, like you go and visit Ajanta Ellora. Okay, this is a very simple comment. And I must also mention this has got some 4-star green rating. No, sir, what is that, sir? Some rating.
No, that doesn't have any rating.
Other schools.
Because, see, that's the idea is we had a ideological fight with the raters, so-called raters like Gra and Lead at that time, and IGBC and other things. One of my projects, which is the engineering campus, we submitted for rating. And they said, you don't qualify for it. Although that campus is 100% sustainable, 100% recycled, reused, local materials, local labor, rejuvenating of economy, and everything is there in that project. But they said, you don't qualify for it because, number one, there were no air conditioners. And number two, you did not apply to us when the project started, so we don't know what the process of construction was. I figured it out. I mean, I've been designing projects which have been absolutely sustainable, where there is no RCC as much as possible. There's no RCC slab in the whole building, and so on and on. So there's a difference of about 7 to 8 degrees from outside to inside, and yet these people have their own criteria and rule is fine. I mean, I'm not questioning them, but then I have never given any project for any rating, Because I feel that rating is in my heart and in my users' heart. People who visit my building, people who use my building, the rating is in their heart and not in these so-called 5-star platinum or whatever XYZ. So, and, and coming to the resorts that you're talking of, Loganathan, I mean that we did a lot of resorts. We used to be, our expertise was resorts and still is resorts, which are very organic and very contextual. We did a lot of very high-end resorts, including high-end resorts we have done. And there was a time when we only used to do resorts in the tiger sanctuaries and other forest sanctuaries and everything. And then when we used to do these kind of buildings, like the campus, the building that you're showing, the architecture building, the Pridarshini Institute of Architecture, and the campuses that we have done, like you're saying, it just looks like a resort. So we received a lot of flack and a lot of criticism saying that, this man does not understand anything about architecture, form, and its relationship. And since they are experts in resorts, they keep designing resorts everywhere. So, the idea is not to design a resort, but to design a building which touches the heart of every user or every person who comes in, every person who walks into the building. That person should fall in love with your work that you're doing. When you enter the building, it should leave indelible impressions on your mind. There should be natural light, play of sun, ventilation. There should be spaces, though now we call them selfie points. Actually, basically spaces and points and avenues where one can really enjoy a building. And there should be romance, the concept of romance in a building, where the architect, where it is felt that the architect had fallen in love with the building while designing, and the user also falls in love when he enters that building. So there has to be a romantic relationship everywhere, every time. 100 years down the line, if the building still exists, if someone comes in, he should fall in love with that building. And like we say, the concept of eternal beauty, where as you grow old, you become more beautiful, you become more graceful. So I strive that my building will look the worst on the day of the inauguration, but as it ages and as it grows, it becomes more beautiful and more lovely and more romantic, as it ages. So my projects will age gracefully with time. So that is the concept and the thought process that I subscribe to.
Oh, wonderful. I think Sindhil has got a few more questions. Sindhil, please go ahead, sir.
I think we can ask Rajan to ask the question. Parisutharajan. We can ask Parisutharajan to ask the questions.
Yeah, I think he has got some difficulty.
Yeah. I'm back. He has joined.
Yes, Rajan, please carry on, sir.
A very good evening to one and all. Good evening, President. Nice to meet you on this platform.
Good evening.
And good evening. I was hearing you throughout the history of architecture teaching session when you used to address it. And as you rightly said, I could see the patriotism in you. End of the day, you made them to sing national anthem. I was really moved by that.
The national anthem.
I could see that in you. Fantastic. It was a very fantastic move.
Thank you.
And they all sung, even though they were not prepared with the video, audio, they all did.
Yes,
that's it.
All of them cooperated. Yes.
As a leader, you have that capacity of making things done by people. So wish you all the best. Wish you all the best in your endeavors as a president. Because as we know, the profession and academia are in crossroads today. And over that, we have this pandemic playing a havoc. So my question to you at this juncture to rekindle some of your thought process, what is the everyday creativity to you? And you can, through your experience of working for long and practicing for a long and teaching for a long, you can please tell us.
Don't take me as a philosopher or a philosophical answer. But when you wake up in the morning, you listen to the birds chirping, or squirrels talking, or the wind blowing, and then you listen to it and you think, how can this chirping of the birds be brought into my projects or into my design? When you see the morning sun or the first rays of the morning sun, I feel how I can bring the rising sun into my projects, into my designs. What can I do to bring that in to my work? Same thing about the setting sun. When the sun sets, it is a nice orangish, yellowish glow. How can I bring that into my projects? What do I do in my designs which brings in that? To me is creativity. When I mean, it goes to extreme. I used to, before I became the president, breathe and live architecture every day. Now I breathe the amendments and talk of regulations every second. But before that, I don't know. I made a presentation it's a Hindi film, so you guys probably are not aware of it. It's an old Hindi film of Guru Dutt, where I heard a song, I saw a song, and I realized how architecture has been used as a non-verbal communication in the song to convey the meaning of the song, convey the meaning of what was happening on the screen, and how architectural elements and general were used to convey that particular meaning. So that kind of madness one should have, where you're seeing something but you're thinking of architecture. When you're seeing something, you're thinking of how to improve your teaching. When you're maybe watching playing a game, you're thinking how this particular move or this particular game can improve my teaching, or can improve my pedagogy, or how can it can improve my design, and so on and on. So that kind of involvement and that kind of immersing into architecture and architecture learning is actually important, and that to me is creativity. Learning from nature, learning from the basic tenets of nature, learning from what exists around you. Say if I am going for a meeting, I'm rushing for a meeting, but if I see something which I think, let's say a rainbow, or let's say clouds gathering up, or sun breaking the clouds, I wait there for 2 minutes, 5 minutes. Nothing is, sky is not going to fall on your head. The meeting may be late by 5 minutes, but that's fine. But that enrichedness that you have from these kind of small little things is what matters to you, and it's what makes you creative. And that is very easy to say, sounds very philosophical and good to listen, but to imbibe and to do it is actually very difficult. But if we do it, then we become better individuals, and we become better creators of better designs and better projects. And as far as this COVID thing is concerned, consider it as a boon in disguise, which has taught us the wrong way of how to live life, and how we were actually treating our Mother Earth and planet Earth, what atrocities we were doing on this environment and this earth that we all live in, and how we have been taught by nature to be in our limits and not to cross limits. Let's take it as a positive sense. Then we are walking on the way, and there's a red light, and we have stopped at that red light, and that red light is malfunctioning. So instead of 1 minute, it has gone down to 2 months, and now we will continue on our way. So let's be very positive about it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think when we have started talking something philosophical and little serious, just to bring in one more small question, which will actually help us, all the young architects also. Most of the time, what happens now in the earlier days, we normally get cheated by the clients. They take the work from us, and then they just they have a knack of not honoring payment and all that. Okay. Did this kind of thing happen to you, or maybe there was not a chance, or if it happened, how did you tackle anything?
No, it happens. It happens even now. So, so it's a part of the deal. See, let's understand. Let's face it. If I tell you, no, none of my clients, default one thing. Just like receiving money is a pleasurable activity for you, saving money and not paying you is also a pleasurable activity for the client or for anyone else. Don't you go and bargain with a vegetable vendor? No, not why 50 rupees, why not given 45 rupees? That's a pleasure, intrinsic pleasure that we all get, in having a good feeling that we have saved a little money for our own selves. But coming to this fundamental question which you asked, in the initial years, yes, it does happen more because we as architects are not organized, and we as professionals are not professionals enough. Because we do not enter into an agreement. We fear that if we don't charge money for our project, the client will go away. So we give him free work, we give him a concept sketch, and then he runs away with that concept sketch, and then we bicker about it. So either we be very professional and face consequences of being professional, or then let us accept this as a part of our life, wherein if you see, take the case of a doctor, a radiologist or a pathologist. He has to invest a lot of money in getting his equipment. What investment are you doing apart from few computers and your mind and your brain? What kind of investment is an architect doing to start his own business? So let's take it that if you have lost money over a project which you are unprofessional about, that is your investment in business. But I would want, and I would advise our young architects who are starting business to be more professional and do not. Have you ever come across a ballpoint pen manufacturer or a sketch pen manufacturer, 10 rupee, 5 rupee worth of pen, telling you, "Theek hai, aap le jao pehle, use it for a while, and if you like it, then you buy another pen from me." Have you ever seen that? We are bloody spending, lakhs and lakhs of rupees on behalf of the client, and your fee also runs in few thousands and few lakhs. But we want to do it for free. Why do we want to do it for free? Why do we not charge money? Why do we not take an advance? Why do we not take a, kind of a, what you call a retainer or something before you start work or before you give work? And if the client pays you the retainer, you know his intentions. If he doesn't pay you, anyway he was not yours. So let's be a little more professional. But if we don't want to be, and if you want to still continue with that, take it as an investment in your business.
Okay, sir. I think Palaniappan has got some questions. Palaniappan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir, today happens to be birthday of one of the celebrity actresses of Bollywood. So that means that you don't follow movies on a regular basis?
No, I don't follow movies on a regular basis at all because first of all, I never got the time to do it.
Okay,
but I do follow the heroines and the heroes of Bollywood. I do have my opinions, but I don't see so many movies as I used to earlier.
Okay.
I was mad after movies when we were in college, 11th and 12th specifically, and then first year, second year of architecture, where we used to never miss a first show in the theater.
Now, by this time, some of your projects must have got covered in the future films. Am I right or wrong?
No, none of them. We did have a talk about it. Couple of producers did talk to us about it, but have not materialized. I know Farooq Sheikh was a very good friend of mine.
Okay.
And then we had discussed. He had come and stayed in a resort of ours. Okay. And then he was going to produce a movie. Unfortunately, he passed away in between. But that was to be filmed there, but it has not happened yet.
Okay.
But some in some of the projects, some ad movies or some ad shoots have happened, and some advertising movies. Documentaries have been shot, but not a feature film.
Okay. Even in the advertisements or documentaries, when you see your creativity in a large screen or in the TV advertisements and things like that, how do you feel? How do you enjoy that?
I never thought about that. Next time it happens, I'll think about it.
Okay.
But the glint in the eyes of the persons who use the building when you enter inside, that is more important.
That is more important.
That gives you more satisfaction. Yes, that gives.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a very ideal answer, but this is what I feel from the heart. But I've never thought how I'll feel. But next time I'll see when it happens.
Okay.
I'll see how I feel about it.
Okay. Have you designed any buildings for celebrities or politicians? Any of your clients, and can you share the experience of personal interactions with them, or the interactions on design-based interactions with them?
There were two, three ways that I can answer this.
Okay.
If you see it, plain reading of your, sorry, I'm using the Supreme Court language, plain reading of the judgment. I'm so used to it these days. But the plain reading of your question and answer to it is, yes, I did design a house for Farooq Sheikh, which never got built, and Nasiruddin Shah,
Okay.
which also never got built because the husband wife never,
Okay.
arrived at a consensus of how the house should be.
Okay.
But to me, every client is a celebrity of mine.
Okay. That's great.
Whether he's building his house or whether he's building his
whatever it is. Okay.
college or resort or whatever it is. Because until you do not put your client on a pedestal,
okay,
like a celebrity,
okay,
you will not be able to design well for him, to be honest.
exactly.
Because the ego of an architect comes in between. The architect feels I am a know-all and I am a very super consultant, and that's why this person has hired me. And I bulldoze my ideas and my thought processes over the client's needs and aspirations, which is a very dangerous thing to happen.
Yes.
We are taught in our schools to be egoist, to be creators, to be full of air, which can be punched out by a small prick. But we have been taught that way. We're still being taught that way. The sagas and the legacies of Le Corbusier and Frank Lloyd Wright's, Mies, and now Zaha Hadid's and Calatrava's and so on and on, and Frank Gehry. These are iconicism which doesn't work in real life, actually.
Yeah.
So it is very important for an architect to understand the needs and the aspirations and the thought process of the client, and for that he has to be a celebrity. That's what I personally feel.
Okay.
But the other side is yes, I designed the house for Shri Ravi Shankar ji also.
Oh, great.
And but with me, unfortunately for me, the branding or the brand image of me, at least where I practice, had become so big that clients used to consider that they are hiring a celebrity architect.
Okay.
And in the long run, and they used to be afraid of talking about things to me, or they used to hesitate because they thought that I was a very big architect and I may not do their project. That kind of stage came into my life where I realized that this is not right. I enjoyed it for 10 years or so, and then I realized this is not right. I'm losing my creativity. I'm losing it had become a factory kind of thing. So I said, I'm not losing it, and I curbed that. So deliberately I killed the branding myself because that branding was becoming bigger than the actual output of the work.
Okay, I think since Palaniappan started with asking about the movies, Rajesh, can you put that poster once? Sir, this poster for this program. Rajesh, please put that poster. Share the poster. So the poster for this event has actually gained a lot of appreciations. Okay.
The poster. Okay.
Yeah. And many people like your post. Many people have called me and then, okay, sir, actually, we find, if we look at where you are sitting, the background has got a very classic elements behind you, actually. In the screen, we can see that gramophone, that loudspeaker thing, and things like that.
Gramophone.
Yeah. And the poster, that the attitude that you show, and in the way it is a totally modern outlook, and the way you speak also, a lot of things are very nice and neat and polished. So, actually, this particular, how do you manage? Actually, you have an inner sense of classic and feel something like that, and then like your patriotism, basically. And there is, so how do you actually manage, or how do you actually exhibit? How do you
that image that you're talking of, which is in the poster, is basically from a video which we were shooting for the Council of Architecture social platform.
Okay.
And so the technical people and the creative people said, so you shave off your beard because that looks pretty old and that will not connect with the younger generation. So as usual, the nature of an architect, or my nature, you can say, that I said, no, I'm not going to shave off. Because something you say, you do this, and then inner repulsion comes in, no, I will not do it. That's how you are trained to be an architect. If someone says, this is looking good, you say, no, this is not looking good, you put this will look better. So that is the kind of upbringing that we have in an architect. So I said, no, I'm not going to shave off. This is my lockdown protest beard. that I'm not going to shave it down. So they said, okay, so then I said, what is your basic, thought process behind shaving the beard? So they said, no, sir, it has to be very informal and it has to be, lively and to be, in touch with the younger generation, because we are launching this COA social for the younger crowd.
Okay.
So I said, look, I'm wearing my half pants and I'm in my 3/4 and I'm wearing a t-shirt. So let's shoot a video in which you see it as an informal thing. And that's how it happened actually. So that shoot was for that, the image that you see.
Yeah.
But and then what was the other? I don't know if I speak in a very polished way. I was a very bad speaker earlier, and I used to stammer, and I used to be absolutely afraid of speaking in public. And that was when I was giving my aptitude test for architecture, and I didn't know how to speak in English because I came from a very strong Hindi background. My English was accentuated, full of heavily accented, and bad grammar I had, and no fluency. But over a period of time, since the only thing is you read and then you analyze, and then when you start speaking in public, when I became an architect, I said, speaking in public is important, because if you are unable to convince your client, then you're gone. It is your gift of the gab which gets you a project. So then you start working on it, and I still am sometimes jittery about speaking in public. Sometimes I stammer and sometimes I forget. It's part of the deal, but you need to read. And when you read, then you have so much of, if you ask me a question and whatever I have read, whatever little I would have read, that, comes in as a data bank, and it starts retrieving data, and then you answer, analyzing that data. So unless you read and have stored that data in your mind, then you can't be articulate in what you're answering or what you're speaking.
Wonderful, sir. I think
I hope that answers.
Yeah, certainly. Wonderful. I think Sandil has got some questions. Sandil?
I think,
yeah.
No, I don't know whether this is right platform to ask actually. Normally, when we see the biodata, when they apply for alliances, along with the horoscope, they would mention the salary. But like that, in the architect's biodata, I never seen the salary column filled up when you give your biodata for seeking alliances.
Seeking alliances, because I never sought an alliance, so I don't know whether how to answer that, because my daughter also selected alliance on her own, so I am a totally inexperienced guy when it comes to this. But usually it is assumed that architect earns pretty well. So, there's no need to... What were you saying? You're saying something?
No. At least
I wrote a letter,
if...
I can't hear you.
Yeah. No, the thing is, at least they can say per annum.
Per annum, they should say.
18 lakhs per annum.
The problem is that half of the architect's earning is not in bank accounts.
Okay. Correct.
Okay. I think Rajan has got some question. Parisutharajan? Parisutharajan?
Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to get some tips from the president on a phrase, how to create a culture of happiness.
Very difficult question, Rajan. I don't know how to answer that, but
okay.
What that was an interesting thing. What did you say? What of happiness? Culture of happiness.
Culture of happiness. Yes.
Create culture of happiness. I think happiness. See, there are some things which cannot be created. It has to be inculcated from within your own selves, and happiness is one aspect. Anyone, you or this webinar, or Loganathan, Sandil, Anthony, all my friends who are attending this seminar as panelists, can give me happiness, momentary happiness, temporary happiness. The actual happiness that lives with me comes from inside. That comes from inside me, within myself. So if I'm happy inside, am happy outside. If I love myself, if I am in love with my own self, then I can love you. Then I can love other things in life. If I don't love myself, if I am not happy within myself, I cannot give you happiness. If I am sad from inside, I'll give you my sadness. And then you will bear that sadness for a while and then run away after some time. So if I am happy from inside, so that is something which has to be inculcated, and it comes from inside. It stems from inside, not curated or created. This is what I feel. I don't know if I'm being too philosophical,
So
but that's
I can say that
that's what it is.
keep the kid happy in you. Am I right? That's what you mean.
Absolutely. I'm still inside. I mean, I may appear whatever and whatever post I may be occupying, but I'm still it's a child. The child shouldn't get ever killed inside you. The moment that child is dead, you are dead as a person. That child
I believe in that.
I still am happy, playing with kids or smiling with them, laughing with them, or, doing small little things, flying kites, running after the cut kites, and all so many things. I mean, whatever you name it, I still love it. I am not able to do it as a different issue, but I still love it. And that kid has to be there inside you to play pranks on you. I played a prank on Senthil. He didn't realize he was very serious. He thought he's very serious webinar. So that so that has to be there. I mean, that kid has to be there inside you.
Super, sir. Actually,
it has become like that because so many webinars now going on in the past 2 months. It has become like that. You're right.
Sir, I think there are two small questions that have come up. Actually, we have to attend. One is who's your inspiration to get into this field, and which architect inspired you?
Inspiration where? Which field?
In this field,
Okay.
in this field, yeah.
I thought you were talking of film heroines, so but okay.
film side, I have one more personal question later on. I will ask.
Okay. No, I was heavily influenced with Charles Correa's work and thought process, to be honest, and Hassan Fatih to a great extent. I had been a great reader of what Correa wrote and what Hassan Fatih did. And that has influenced me tremendously in my architectural career.
Okay. And there's one more thing there people are asking is, which was the most interesting phase during your career, architectural career? Which was the most interesting phase during your architectural career? Yeah. Most interesting phase.
I would say I will reterm it. The most exciting phase. I think every phase, even this phase that I'm going through, is interesting. Because had it not been interesting for me, I would not be doing it. So, and the moment I say it's not interesting, then I'm not living it. I'm not doing justice to it. So every phase that I have gone through is interesting, and I'm sure every phase that I will go through is also going to be interesting. I would say the exciting phase was when recently in the last 5 to 6 years, I've been speaking a lot in these forums, and in almost every other city I've gone and spoken in about my thoughts, conveying my thoughts, and the kind of appreciation that people used to have, and the kind of comments and the I used to get after the presentation, and the kind of talks that we used to have after the presentation. I did a lot of presentations for Triple ID and the IA and so many other forums, and people used to get charged up after the talk, and they used to come up to me and say how they're influenced and do this, and they want to do it like this, and they do this, and then they forget the moment they walk out of the auditorium. That was the most exciting part of the whole thing. So but I really enjoyed that, and I'm going to enjoy even after this term ends, and I'm sure I'll enjoy talking to people, conveying, exchanging thoughts. That's the most exciting part of the whole thing, and that is what keeps you interested in doing better and better work, because you speak so much. I was speaking about 5 or 6 forums in a month, and traveling also, talking about it. And then you realize you're talking about the same old thing, showing the same old projects. So then that makes you more interested in working better and working on newer projects and innovating and things like that. So that's quite interesting.
Okay, sir. Wonderful. I think we had almost more than 75 minutes of time just gone away like a second. It was so nice of you to see. Only thing we have learned that you are a good poet, And can you just give a small gist about the poetry and whatever music you like? Then maybe we will wrap this session. And a small pep talk to all the young generation, how to be cheerful and move forward. That's enough.
But poetry I've started writing recently since last 5 or 6 years. That's Urdu poetry, so very difficult to understand for you guys, basically. It's difficult to understand for, because the Hindi-speaking people also, because it's in Urdu. It's a typical traditional ghazal and traditional, Jagdish Singh type of ghazal that you hear or that kind of thing. Painting, I used to do a lot. I do a lot of painting. I used to do a lot of painting, but recently I've not been able to do it since last 3-4 years because of the hectic schedules that I've been keeping. I've done a lot of painting. I'm a great follower and believer of the mythology, whether it is Indian mythology or Western mythology. I've done a series of paintings on Mahabharata and Ramayana. I'm still continuing doing paintings on Kabir, the thought process of Kabir and his, dohas and everything. I've done a lot of painting on that. And so that used to keep me quite occupied and quite satisfied, creatively satisfied. Whatever you can't do in your architectural projects, that creativity comes out in the form of a poetry or in form of a painting. So that gives you some kind of satisfaction. So that's how I used to keep occupied. I was a great fan of, like I told you, a lot of heroines, and I used to follow their works. Because, M.F. Hussain was a follower of Madhuri Dixit, who made a lot of paintings on Madhuri Dixit. So I got inspired at that time in the 80s.
Today is Madhuri Dixit's birthday.
Oh, is it? No, she was unfortunately not my favorite heroine, so I really don't know. Rekha has been my favorite heroine from your Chennai. But I used to follow what they did, how they walked, how they talked, and then we used to draw, sketch, and that. So whatever women that you will see in my painting will be inspired by Rekha. Or, it's not a person oriented, but the way femininity is expressed, the way masculinity is expressed by a particular hero, Amitabh Bachchan or Shah Rukh Khan or whatever. So that you imbibe, the mannerism you imbibe in your work, and you draw. So that gives you some kind of indirect inspiration, and satisfaction. And pep talk for the younger architects. Now I feel I'm back to the role of a president, where I need to, give some advices at the end. Fundamentally, if you ask me, the only advice which is worth heeding to or worth listening to is that you should love what you're doing. If you do not love what you're doing, do not do it. And it sounds very easy. It sounds advice-like, and it sounds philosophical as well. So it sounds good. But if you dissect it post-mortem, you'll understand that if you're indulging into something which you do not like or which you do not enjoy, do not do it. It will not achieve anything. You will be mediocre. You will be performing below par. You will not love what you're doing. You will not like what you're doing. So there will be a lot of side effects to that. And there will be a lot of clashes at home. You will become irritant. You will be an irritant person. That all those kind of, XYZ, all these kind of side effects you will have if you do not love what you're doing. And also very important is be positive. I always keep saying be positive. Your Supreme Court judgment, this happened, that happened. It doesn't make you any difference at all. You have to excel in what you do. If you do not excel, do not do. If you think you cannot excel, take help, take advice, take collaborative process, follow the collaborative process, have someone else contribute to the project. But whatever you do, you should do it the best and you should excel. And when you do that, you become indispensable to society. And then you prove to people, to your clients, to your society, to your fraternity, that no one else would have been able to do this better. And when you reach that stage of mind, a mental state of mind, then you'll be happy. That gives you satisfaction. And that is the only advice I can give you. These two things: love what you do and excel in what you do. And within the framework of being positive. Do not let negativity kills you. Everything. It kills your mind, it kills your existence, it kills the relationship that you have with your people, with your loved ones. Negativity is the biggest cancer that you can ever have.
Wonderful, sir. Actually, to wrap up, I should say, from this image, whatever we see on the screen, a child came out, a 12th standard boy came out, a youngster came out, and our president also came out, and a great architect, creative person, a poet. We lost so many faces within the short time of 80 minutes or so. We were able to realize from you, and then it is so cheerful and so nice to see you and then hear you. I think
I am also thankful to you for inviting me in Loganathan, although you're a very good friend of mine. I've been actually fed up with these webinars, so many webinars, 2 or 3 a day. But I did accept you when the title said, about being an architect, and it didn't mention anything about being a president or, amendments or act or regulations or, Supreme Court judgment. So that's how I said, no, I should be there. And I'm sure I've enjoyed this webinar. For a change, it was nothing to do with architecture.
Yeah,
architecture regulation.
Yeah, yeah. I hope all our audience also enjoyed it. A formal vote of thanks from our HOD, Architect Vaidyanathan. Architect Vaidyanathan.
Sir, I thought this would just go never-ending. It was so interesting to see the president talk, and it felt that the president was easily reachable. It was not very difficult to actually get in touch with him, and he showed us light at the end of the tunnel. All the youngsters are, I think they're very well connected with you, and they would like to know, they're very interested to know more about you, and I think this was one of the platforms. As all of you discussed, there was a rally of so many webinars going on, and we had to have every hour there was one, and I think this is one of the types which stood out completely, where we actually saw the other side of the real architect Habeeb. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for being part of the whole thing.
Okay.
And I think your fan followers are increasing, pan India, and I think maybe next time will be the Khan of architects. That's how I think.
No. Incidentally, I don't like any of the Khans.
Yeah, but we like this Khan, sir. And I can see that there's already this vibe it's happening, and everyone is feeling that to reach the council was initially difficult. Now to reach the president himself has become very easy. That's the feeling that we all get. Thank you for giving that feeling to us. Thank you, sir. And thank you to all our panelists, Architect Palaniappan, Architect Chettinad, Architect Parisutharajan, for they had much more lighter questions. I think due to time constraints, they just wanted to cut short on the thing. And Dean Architect Loganathan, he was very instrumental. He was just saying, don't talk about COVID, don't talk about any Supreme Court judgment. We should treat it that it's a light thing where we all get together. It should be a gathering, very humble gathering. That was what he was saying from the beginning, and I think it was a success here. And all the audience, a great appreciation to you. In just 45 minutes, we just went online. We got more than 100 registrations. So just 45 minutes. So I think everyone wants to go out and listen to you. That was one of the things. And heartfelt thanks to our IT team, our LMS team, all of them who supported in getting this thing. And the management, the Chettinad School of Architecture management is always pushing us to go to great sites, and we appreciate and cherish their support that they are giving to us. Prasanna Pandian, who is an architect who was very instrumental in doing the visuals for this thing. Special thanks to him as well. Thank you, sir. I hope the series continues, and we would get to meet you very often also. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yes,
Thanks a lot.
The meeting is closed.